In September 2020, I made the big decision to go and get myself a tiny house on wheels. And I put in an order with a tiny house builder, and they were going to build the house to look up. So a shell, just the walls, windows attached to the trailer, and I was going to do the fit out myself. I have never done anything like this before, and to be honest, I really didn't have any decent DIY skills. I was good with IKEA flat pack, but that was it. And in May 2021, tiny house was delivered, and it looked like this. It was just a shell. And leading up to it, I had lots of thoughts about what it should look like and what I should do. But when I was walking through it, I was pretty overwhelmed. Now, I wish I had filmed more throughout the process of fitting out the tiny. But I did take a lot of photos. So I'm going to take you through from the shell to what is now what you see behind me, a fully functioning, very cozy, very pleasant house. And I learned a lot. Now, the reason I want to share this with you is to give you a sense of what you can achieve if, one, you just have no other option, because financially I could not afford to pay anyone to do it for me. But also too, when you put your mind to it and when you kind of go on an assumption that, well, I can learn things. Other people have learned how to do these things, so there's no reason why I can't learn these skills. So let's take you through kind of the process with images to illustrate what that process is like and how it evolved to be what it is now. And I've got a list, by the way, of things that happened in order, kind of. So I'll be looking down every now and then to check where we're up to next, because it's all a bit blurry from then. And I also have myself a cup of coffee because it's going to be very hot today, and so I'm filming this early in the morning, so I need a bit of a support. All right, so when Tiny was delivered, the tiny house builder had said that the outside needed to be painted as soon as possible because it had, it's called WeatherTex. I don't know if that's available across the world, but in Australia we've got WeatherTex, and it's primed, but it's not painted. And so it won't stand up to the elements for very long. So the first thing we did was paint the outside. Now, didn't film the painting, but this is kind of we went from a whitish sort of color to a grey color, and also did the window frames, etc. And then my very first job that I really needed DIY skills for was to frame the wall between the kitchen and the bathroom, because that was going to be, I needed to have that in place so that I could work out where everything else was going to go. And I had watched a video on YouTube, brought out by Bunnings, which is a local hardware chain, and the guy who did it made it look so easy, and I thought, oh, I can do that. But I watched it forever, and then when I had it up on my phone as I was framing out the wall. It took me the whole weekend to get this bloody frame, but all I had was a handsaw, a hammer, nails, and a leveler. That was all I had. But when I had finally done it, I was pretty chuffed. That was my first real DIY job. And then we had there was a bit of, because by this stage, by the way, we were in serious lockdowns because we're in sort of May 2021, June 2021. And so I had the electrician and the plumber and the air conditioning person come out to do their initial wiring, piping, whatever they do, before I could continue, because that needed to be in place. And then once they were done, the big job was to do the insulation. And my daughter and I, we hate, one of the most hated jobs we did. It's not hard, but it's really unpleasant, dusty, itchy. It was just, fortunately, it was by that stage we're in June, so we're going towards winter, so the temperatures were cool. So we could wear clothes that covered us up, but it was really, really, really unpleasant. But we insulated the walls, and then we needed to start covering the walls. Now, I don't know if you can see, but the walls look like they have sort of a shiplap on the walls, but it's actually called VJ board, which are large sheets, and they have little grooves to give the indication, they're fake shiplap walls, if you like. And I thought that these wall sheets would be great to put, because it would be quick. One sheet would do a big area. And what I didn't know was that they were horribly, horribly heavy, and I had to learn how to cut things because, of course, where the plumber and the electrician had put things in the wall where PowerPoints and stuff were going to go, I had to cut holes to put the wiring through and the pipes through, etc. So that was a steep learning curve, and these sheets were horribly heavy, and they were specifically difficult to put up on the ceiling in the loft in the living room. And fortunately, we had at some point, lockdowns were lifted again, and we were allowed to see some people, and one of my loose friends came to help, and all three of us had to pull it all together to put these sheets up on the wall. They were very heavy. And we did a lot, and then the hardware store ran out of these sheets because everybody was DIYing. Everybody needed materials because that was, what else were you going to do? The hardware store delivered, so that was fantastic. But so we ran out of sheets, so I couldn't finish off the walls completely. So I had to go and do something else. So we had finished off all the walls and the ceilings in Malu's loft, and then we painted. She painted her loft, and then we put in the flooring in her loft. So after that, we still had no wall sheets, and I didn't want to paint the walls downstairs until I had all the walls covered. So then I had to start doing other things. So IKEA delivered as well. So I got myself all the cabinets for the kitchen and started to install the kitchen cabinets. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I am the IKEA flat pack queen. I love doing, I just seem to get them. so there was never a question about who I was going to use for my kitchen cabinets and various other pieces of furniture. So I did the kitchen cabinets, little bits here and there, part of the flooring where the kitchen cabinet had to go first so that I could put the kitchen cabinets on, then continued on doing the flooring downstairs, which is it's a waterproof hybrid floor plank. And that took a little while to work out how that worked. And then again, no wall sheets. So then the storage stairs became a project. Now that was one of the hardest projects to work out because I wanted it based on cabinets that I could put together, because I didn't trust my carpentry skill, my non-existent carpentry skills, because framing a wall doesn't make a carpenter. And I was worried that if I try to make them from plywood or whatever, that they wouldn't be strong enough, that they wouldn't be structurally sound. So I thought, and then I had seen in IKEA, there's a Trofast cabinet, which is really for children, but it is already in stair format. So that seems like a good idea. So that became my basis. So put the storage stairs together, did some fancy stuff with the edging on the stairs, which I'm so grateful for that I did, because it's definitely, when I go to the toilet at night, it gives a little bit of visual information as to where the steps end. So, and I think it looks really nice, but that was a bit of fancy work, which I was very proud of. And then put flooring on the stairs as well, and then went into doing then still no wall sheets. I mean, we're talking about a 6-month period here where there were no wall sheets, so I couldn't continue in the main downstairs area. So I went into started work on the bathroom. I had to do the waterproofing, put the basin in. I have bathroom wall sheets, the acrylic wall sheets. They were also challenging to put in and put the holes in. And although there are similar wall sheets for external use that I planned on using in the bathroom, but they were definitely not available. So instead I used tongue and groove pieces, which is, I thought I'd bought lots of straight ones, but I had to order them in. So I'd some, and so they clearly gave me some shonky ones. And I've learned to always over order so that you can pick the best one. So that became a bit challenging to make it all fit. It was harder work than I thought. So then the walls, I painted the walls, painted the window frame, and the ceiling. And then I had wanted to put pressed tin on the ceiling, but I couldn't afford it. And so at some point I will put pressed tin on the ceiling, I'm sure. But so in the meantime, I thought I want to do something a little bit nicer with the ceiling. So I bought a stencil, and I stenciled a pattern on the ceiling, which I thought came out quite nicely. And then I went back to the stairs because I realized that it was a bit unsafe to have nothing to hold on to. So I put handrails up there to the stairs. And that, again, one of those really, really good decisions. I hang on to it for dear life when I come down the stairs. And then the wall sheets were back. Hey! So I then finished off downstairs, and I started to do my loft and also the ceiling with the help of a very tall friend, because in between the lofts it's very high up, and I couldn't, these heavy sheets, I couldn't do all that very high up. Tall friends, very handy. And because we were again out of lockdown for a bit, he could come and help. So then my loft, and then I could paint. So then I finished off some bits and pieces downstairs, and then I spent a couple of weekends painting all the walls, and then that was so I had the kitchen done, I had the walls done, and the bathroom, but and then I did the composting toilet. Not the full setup, but at least inside. And the scariest part there was to cut a hole in my floor. I mean, I was like, no, who cuts a hole in their floor? But it had to be done. And then I was at a point where I could get the electrician back, who put the power points in and the lights. The plumber came back and did some. I tried to get the plumber back, but he ghosted me. So I then did the installing of the taps and the shower heads and all the things in the bathroom. At that point, my daughter Malu was starting to get a little bit worried because I had a beautiful set of stairs up to my loft, but she had no way of getting into her loft. So then I spent a long time coming up with a ladder for her loft. And that's probably the most carpentering I've done in the entire tiny house. And it was difficult because it had to do with angles, and it had to do, I didn't want her to you know, step on it and crash through it. So it had to be sturdy. And I had a photo of a because Malu had in the old house at some point when she was younger, she had a loft bed, and it had a ladder up into the loft, and she was quite happy with that ladder. But we sold the loft bed, and so I had to sell the ladder as well. But I took photos of the ladder because I knew that in my design she was going to have a ladder up into her loft, and that was good because I could sort of, based on the photo, I could work out what the ladder should look like. And it's even her much taller and heavier boyfriend has been able to go up the ladder and down the ladder, so without it breaking. So that was, again, very happy with that result. Then the very last thing I did was to get curtains in my loft, and that because and blinds here in downstairs, and that felt like a that made it that kind of made it a home. I don't know why, but especially the curtains in my loft. It's like, oh, now it's a real home. And that got us to April 2023 when we moved in. So in May 2021, so it almost took 2 years, May 2021, this is what it looked like. And in April 2023, this is what it looked like. And with no prior DIY skills. And so if you ever wonder if you can take on big things that you don't have the skills for, just give it a go. It saved me so much money. I did a video on the cost breakdown of building it, and it probably saved me at least about $20,000 to $30,000 in just you know, having to pay people to do things. So and being able to do it, you know, slowly and as I had the money. So and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I've got those skills now. I know because I all fitted it all out, I can fix things, or at least try to work out what might be going on if things don't work properly. You know, there's a lot of skills that I now have. And you know what? Getting older, you know, what's one of the great things to keep your mind healthy is learning new skills. So absolutely fantastic. So really, and I'm really grateful not grateful, but I'm so pleased that it turned out the way I had in my head. I'm still surprised that it looks exactly as I had in my head. And so give things a go. All right, I hope you enjoyed that process, and to see things as they progressed from a tiny house shell to a very comfortable, enjoyable, cozy home.